everybody to episode 16 of Brew Review University. I am one of your hosts, Jennifer, along with my other host, Donnie.
Me?
Yeah, see, I called you host. But before we can get started, Donnie needs to do his disclaimer.
Kids, if you are not 21 or of drinking age in other states or in other countries, it's time for you to go to bed. This show is definitely not for you. It is an adult show, and you cannot be watching this. Good suggestion. Scooby-Doo, Bugs Bunny.
Quiet! Class is in session. They get the point. Go to bed or don't watch the channel. But anyways, on today's episode, we have special guest Saints along with Richard from Full Wave Studios. So welcome to our show.
Yes, welcome. Yes. Gosh, it's what a great start to this new video to have you guys in our studio right away. I mean, this song has only been out for how long?
A week, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this is awesome, and we appreciate you coming in. Where do I start with that? You know, it's just great to have you guys in right away. Most people don't get that opportunity right away because you're busy. You're really busy. Yeah. So let's start with. I want to start right away with a question because as I'm pouring these beers, you're going to tell me a little bit about the background of. In these times, in the pandemic, I want to know how you guys got together and how this came about right away.
Yeah,
so
that's a great question. Well, thanks to Richard. He found me on Instagram, so that was super cool and spontaneous, I think, because it's hard. It's hard to trust people out there,
Yes.
On the internet, right? And you just never know if they're reliable or they're talented or legit, So I was very grateful to him for finding me. But what was your search like? I mean,
well, for us, we were, we were in the business of making music, right? I had this collaborator, Jorge Vasquez, which I worked with quite a bit, and he and I would talk together about how can we write more music, build a catalog, and that's around the time the pandemic kind of started, and so everything was closed. And so we started brainstorming a little bit of saying, let's go and see if we could find some people on Instagram and Facebook that are playing shows and uploading videos of them playing. And somewhere along the line, Saint's feed came up in my Instagram, and I followed her, watched it for a little bit, and at the end when I introduced Saint to Jorge Vasquez, he was like, yeah, let's contact her and see if she's willing to work with us. And so that was the basic idea. The basic idea was to find new artists, new talent, and kind of just write music, build a catalog. We didn't know at that time that the pandemic was going to last that long, remotely.
yes,
And so this was a challenge for both of us, for all of us, to write the song remotely.
2 weeks.
right.
Because
we masked for 2 weeks.
right. We ended up being a point where right around the time we contacted Saint, we thought that this is only going to last another month or two.
Mm.
But no, it actually lasted another year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so all of us learned a new way of doing things, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we contacted Saint to get this idea of meeting new talent, see how that works out, and build a catalog together.
Yeah.
When he contacted you, was it kind of, who is this contacting me?
Yeah, right. You have to do your research too, I'm like,
Sure.
Who is it? And then I looked you up, and I started looking. Oh, he was interviewed by someone. He's like a real person, and he means
Yes.
well, and he has the best interest in music, just like I do. We
Yes.
both want to work with other people and build a network of musicians and people who are passionate about what we do. So and I think it was a blessing really in disguise because. Even with the pandemic, I was going to LA a lot, and he was actually much closer than LA, so it ended up working out. Whatever search you did, good.
Good job, Richard.
Yes.
Good job. Yay.
So, yeah. Thank you.
One of the things about this latest release that you did, which was a Vivir Así. The song, could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration, how the song actually came about, and was there co-writers in it, or did you write it all yourself, or how did that come about?
Yeah.
Well, I can start a little bit on
Yeah,
that.
go for it.
So, we didn't know what to write in the beginning, right? We just knew that we wanted to collaborate. All of us, Jorge Vasquez, myself, and Saint, we all come from different backgrounds. There was a very Latin feel from Saint's side. Jorge was more of like a norteño, kind of like a banda kind of type of music, and I was more like rock and punk, right? And so we all got together and decided to figure this, how we're gonna do this. And so obviously the first way we start is references, like let's see what you want to do. And I believe the way it started was that Saint sent me. She said, "Well, I kind of want a song that's kind of like atmospheric." She sent me a reference of Adele. I think it was Adele's song, and I forgot the other guy that was a guitar player, the Spanish guitar player.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but
So I remember the chords too, because you had asked what kind of music.
yeah. So
Do
then
you
the
have
chorus
the
came. So pretty much the
chords?
piano, the whole song started with just a piano. The intro of the song. That was it.
I had recorded that on my piano, on my phone. It was a voice memo, and I was
Sure.
like, I have this idea. That's it, and it was just the beginning, and then I sent it over to him.
Yeah.
He's like, this works, like, because I had like, I don't know, you just record things on voice memo.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of those, and
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, and plenty that I'm sure has potential, and I was like, okay, what do you think? And
that's
that
how
was
it
the
started.
one
Yeah.
that stuck out.
It just that was how
The
just
chords.
straight out single melody chord,
You came up with a beat, I
and
remember
then just
it.
added everything else, the beats,
Yeah,
the
the kick.
sound.
And then I was like, whoa, wait, we gotta come up with a chorus.
Yeah.
And so we just started stacking, the
Nice.
music
Yeah.
just from there.
And then we wrote the song a
Mhm.
certain way, and I know
Right.
that I sent it to some people that I knew, and I don't know if you
Yeah.
did or not.
Yeah.
And they gave us feedback and said, oh, what about this? What about that? And so we said, okay. So we took some of that feedback, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how the song kind of grew. It morphed. I think the way it started does not sound the way at the end, the way it is at the end. So it kind of
Mhm.
morphed by advice and what people had said, and just you don't hear it for a week or so, and then you play it and it's like, oh, I think I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add that, and that's
Nice.
kind of how it started. Like,
Yeah.
so at the end of it all, it was just like this thing that I didn't know when we started that's how it was gonna sound like.
I feel like we wanted something powerful too. At the
Right.
same time, we wanted something that was catchy enough in the chorus, and we wanted something modern too, a little more modern. But it was very full and powerful, something that really like spoke to you with the rhythm. And so with that, I was like, this is all right.
And
Let's work on
and
this.
then we had the song, and then
Yeah.
the lyrics came a little bit later. We had an
Yeah.
idea of the lyrics already,
That's right.
and
The melody.
we finished the lyrics maybe when 80% of the song was completed. roughly,
Yeah.
So that's how we did and then we were still changing lyrics when you were singing
chorus
it. When you
was
were
just-
singing it still.
Yeah, the chorus kept changing. It
Yeah.
was like 5 different songs
Yeah.
before.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
but
like, okay.
once we got it, we're like
Yeah.
done.
That's
This
it.
is it.
We
Yeah,
started
that's it,
layering
yeah.
vocals
It
and
was in your
layering a bunch of
studio
the
that
stuff.
we came up with it.
Yeah, that's
When
it.
we all came together in person.
Yeah, that was
Right, so
actually
it
the
makes
first
a
time.
difference,
That was
yeah.
the first time we got together
Right. That was the first time I had ever met both of them.
in person.
Wow.
In
That's-
person.
And we
Yeah.
recorded it. Yeah.
And we did all
Wow.
the vocals.
Yeah.
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 It was a lot
So
of
was
fun.
it just a transferring of files consistently, or yeah? That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
Yeah.
much, it was all online.
Wow.
Phone, yeah.
That's
Zoom,
awesome.
Zoom.
Splice.
That's
We
awesome.
tried all the things. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we got horror stories about
Technology.
some of that.
Yeah, we
I lost.
some
I
information.
think we lost.
Yeah, some
Me and
ideas.
Jorge worked on the song for like 6 hours. The
Oh my
song,
God.
and we lost it all.
Oh.
And luckily, I remembered everything, so I replayed everything
Yes.
within that same day. Well, I think it
Yes.
was next day in the morning I played everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've poured you your first beer already to try. We're gonna do this. This is Connecticut Valley Brewing Company. This is a spike smoothie, and this is a blackberry lemonade.
Oh.
So they're from South Windsor, Connecticut. ABV on this is a 5.0. Okay, so it's not too high at all. This has got 296 check-ins, And on Untapped, it rates a 4.13, which is actually very high for a fairly new beer. That's
That's very
out of
high.
5, yes, out of 5. So, I'm ready for this.
It smells
Yeah.
like lemonade. I already
Ooh.
smelled it. It smells like lemonade.
It does smell like
Wow.
lemonade,
Yeah.
completely.
Smells like the
Yeah.
hot dog on a stick. Lemonade.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is
That's
dangerous.
delicious.
So easy to drink.
It's
Oh yeah,
dangerous.
Wow.
that's nice.
Very dangerous.
Nice. Yeah.
5.0.
Make sure you eat something.
5.0
We find a lot of
ABV.
beers around here that are very dangerous because
Wow.
you don't
This is
you
very
don't
pretty bad.
taste
This is
the,
pretty bad.
the
It's
alcohol.
pretty good. Like, it's
Yeah.
good, but it's
I
like
love
bad.
that it's not too sweet.
Yeah.
It's not terribly sweet, you know.
It's kind of like a sour, but not. so much.
Yes. Yes.
And that was a question. I'm gonna
was a
say
question.
that was a questionable one because
Mm.
I don't like the black. What is
It was
it?
blackberry.
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 I'm-
Blackberry lemonade is what that is.
Yeah, I'm not a blackberry
So-
person. But
Oh.
People always ask us all the
I think the
time.
lemonade. I like the lemonade.
Yeah, it
I
definitely
like
gets
it.
lemonade.
It's like pink
Yeah.
lemonade. See, because it's pink.
It's
It's
good.
the pink
I like it.
lemonade.
Really good.
Yeah, so people ask us all the time, you know, you get all these beers from different places and where we get them and things like that. We got this particular one from M&M Liquor, which is here in Riverside, California. But this particular beer will cost you about $4 a can, which is, for something like this, especially on a hot day like it is today, this
Super cold.
is
Refreshing.
fantastic. Nice and
Yeah.
refreshing, and definitely will get the job done.
Oh, it'll get the job done on the for sure.
Drink this on the beach or at a pool or something.
Sitting outside.
Just outside.
Yeah.
You know what I've been doing lately? I've been drinking beer with ice.
With ice.
I don't know. I just for some reason I've been doing that, and this will taste good with ice.
Yes, that one definitely with crushed ice would be
Yeah,
even
crushed
better.
ice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have
Gosh,
yet to try
sounds
the
so good.
because the breweries are coming out with the slushies.
Yeah.
I've yet to try those. That would be yummy.
Yes.
I'd be there all day.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know
my
where to pick me
goodness.
up, honey. I'm over here down the street. Or just pay
Nope.
my Uber to get home.
Yeah. Wow.
So, my next question for both of you, and you answered individually, or I definitely individually, is how long have you been in the field? And I know sometimes we, like in Richard's case, you'd start as an artist and definitely move on to, okay, now I want to do something
Engineering,
different. I want
production.
to do something different. So we'll start out with you, Saint, first, and you go ahead and answer that question.
All right. Well, I've been doing music my whole life. Since I was 3, I started playing piano. So I was very young. My dad's a guitarist and plays piano, but by ear, and my grandmother's also a composer. So we go way back. But I never really gave it the chance I think that it deserved, the music career, mostly because of that idea. Like, I'm a first generation Cuban American, so my family came from Cuba, and they were like, you need to do something that's going to pay the bills, okay? You need something that's reliable, get a corporate job, get something that's going to...
I think that's all of our parents, right?
Okay, all right, that's good to know. But yeah, it was just like, all right, I'll work, and I worked in television, I worked in different corporate jobs, which were awesome, but then I always found myself back in music. So probably in the last 3 years, I decided this is it. This is what I'm doing. 100% musician, pursuing all the songs I've written since I was 8 years old, and
Commit.
that's
Yes.
all it takes,
Yes.
and it's
Go big or go home.
it's a leap of faith, but if you don't do it, you're never going to find out.
Yeah, you'll never know unless you try it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you don't want to live life with regret. You gotta do it.
Yeah, and 100%.
That's how I'm on this podcast.
That's right.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Damn it.
Hey, lady. Hey, lady.
Take that back. Edit. Cut.
So, Richard, how about you?
Well, for me, it was music was not something that was part of my family at all. Like, it was pretty much my parents all worked midnight shifts, and it was pretty much work. And then one day, I ended up finding this guitar in the garage with no strings on it. And I remember that I picked it up, I went to the store, bought strings on it, and I didn't even know that you had to tune the guitar at that time. I just put strings on it. And I'm like, crank. And then it was pretty much something that kind of where you grew up. The idea of that was just something that was never really an option. It was more like you had to go to work, you had to do something vocational, something that you had to do. And then somewhere along the line, I got involved in it quite a bit, and I started learning how to play on my own. Started playing, and then so you fast forward around a little bit after high school. Joined this band, quite a few bands, cover bands, and then we did some bands that I toured with for a while, and we had 2 albums, and that was great. It was those situations where you hated it at that time because it was just horrible. But you look back at those days and it's like, oh, it was great. It was fun. And so I started going to school at that time because it was one of those things of like also was like, oh, I guess I have to go to school. I didn't know what the music industry was going to do for me. And so I went to school and graduated from school. I went to Cal Poly Pomona here locally. And then my first job that I got sent me on travel for like 10 years. And so I still played, but never really went anywhere. All that because I was never here. And when I came back after the travel kind of stopped because I got a different position, that's kind of where I started using my old thought that I decided to come back into music, but then there was such a large gap of 8 years that it was like what I knew back then and all the people that I knew were all gone. They were not part of the industry anymore. So it was kind of like starting all over. And
sure.
But the good thing about that I went through is that a lot of the legacy stuff that people talk about all the time when it comes to like reel tapes and how you do recording back in the day,
for sure.
Is a lot of younger kids don't know where the history is about that. So there is some level of advantage that I actually touched tape and recorded with tape, and I actually had one of those little like Tascam 454s
yes.
with the little cassette tapes with 4-track.
Yes.
And when we did our first album, we did it on that 4-track.
Wow.
And we had to bounce tracks and everything. It was all through tape. And so at the end of it all, I got married, got kids, and then around the time where my kids were a little bit older, where I was like, okay, they're grown up, they could kind of dress themselves. That's when you know. That's when you know you're in a good position when your kids can dress themselves.
Yes, yes.
You've done well.
Well, they can fend for themselves.
Yeah. And so that's when I started saying, you know what, like I'm gonna start doing this recording stuff because I've always done that. I've always done it all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I got to a point where I was doing painting and portraits and all that stuff, and I kind of stopped doing all that stuff. I kind of stopped doing all that stuff.
Cool.
And but I would always fall back to the music thing, something like this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one day I just said to myself, I'm gonna do this. Record, do my own thing, and really quick I started meeting people that I knew people, and it was really hard to meet people. It was really hard the dedication of those people were really hard, and that's when I said to myself, well, screw this. I'm just gonna make my own studio at home. I'm just doing everything myself, and that's kind of how everything started with me. Like that.
Nice.
Where it was like the connection that I had with people were not as dedicated as I was, and then so they will be flaky all the time. And
sure.
So it got to a point where I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do everything myself. Yeah. So that's when I started building this.
And that's when you start learning new instruments and things like
right.
that. And that being said, how many instruments do you play now? How many instruments do you
that I could do?
That you definitely can do.
Guitar has always been my main instrument that I played when I used to tour. I played in the bands that those guitar. People call it singing, but I call it screaming. I used to sing. I used to be the singer of the band, right?
The screamer.
But I was a screamer.
Hey, that's how I sing. Just screaming, especially the cuss words.
I think bass is obviously falls under the guitar. Drums I play a little bit. After about 20 seconds I lose rhythm, but I can play the drums. And luckily with the recording nowadays, all you can do record is 10, 20 seconds, and you just like sample.
Yes, sample.
And I kick ass at the kazoo. I'm cool with that. And the little like what's it called? The little xylophone.
You don't do the triangle?
No, but you know what? But you'd be
right?
surprised. Like on the song Vivida Si, there's one part where she's rapping, and it's me playing pencils.
That's true. That's what was it? I was beatboxing.
There's some
also.
There's behind the scenes for sure.
Oh yeah.
And for some of the shakers, It's like a box of rice. There's a rice rolling box.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you make your own. That's one thing that I do try really very hard, because it's pretty much my history that I have, is that I try not to use samples so much. I try to make as much as everything yourself as you try to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to deal with the whole laws behind samples.
Yes.
So that's kind of how this one came out.
Yeah.
And you, how many instruments are you fluent with? They're very.
Yeah, that I feel comfortable with.
Yes, that you feel comfortable. That's more like it. That's more like it. What
That
that
I
you
get
feel
by.
comfortable with. Yes.
Well, piano definitely is one of my main instrument.
It's my weakness.
There you go. Great. Piano, guitar. I've done bass, 2 songs maybe, and drums. I played drums in high school. I love drums and steel drums actually.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I used to play like the tenor, the steel drum.
Wow.
Starting
That's-
middle school, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Caribbean.
definitely. So I'll tell you what. Why don't we take a little break right now? We're gonna watch a video. We're gonna actually watch VRC right now,
Cool.
and then we'll come back and we'll ask you some more questions. How's that?
Sounds
Cool.
great.
Pay
Yeah.
attention to the little sticks.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Don't forget
All
that.
right.
Como quisiera tenerte, crear una historia de amor. Como quisiera ser parte de tu hogar, pintar tu mundo en color. En el silencio no queda mucho, siento que te me vas. Vivir así no es para mí, ya me da lo mismo. Vivir así no quiero sufrir este amor maldito. Vivir así debo sonreír, no te necesito. Vivir así no es para mí. Como quisiera tocarte, ser quien te alivia el dolor. Como quisiera ser parte y apoyar tus sueños y darte valor. En el silencio no queda mucho, siento que te me vas. ¿Por cuánto tiempo estoy sin aliento, sin ver que me quieras? Vivir así no es para mí, ya me da lo mismo. Vivir así no quiero sufrir este amor maldito. Vivir así debo sonreír, no te necesito. Vivir así no es para mí. No puedo calmar los deseos que me arden. Me estoy volviendo loca sin tenerte para abrazarme. Pero no estaré esperando que me quieras. Seré una flor marchita floreciendo en primavera. Vivir así no es para mí, ya me da lo mismo. Vivir así no quiero sufrir este amor maldito. Vivir así debo sonreír, no te necesito. Vivir así no es para mí. Vivir así no es para mí, ya me da lo mismo. Vivir así, no quiero sufrir. Vivir así, oh, no te necesito. Vivir así.
All right. Well, that was the latest release from Saint, and we hope you guys enjoyed that, because we for sure did here in studio. And gosh, great song, guys. It was
Thank you.
done
Thank you.
perfectly. So, hey, let's drink some more beer. Why don't we start out with that right away?
Yes.
So up next we have Stone. This is an Imperial Russian Stout. They're out of Escondido, California. This is a 10.6 ABV. The IBU in this is 60. This has got 28,000 check-ins and still rates a 4.07 out of 5. So definitely very, very good. Tasting notes in this one are dark, coffee, smooth, strong, and sweet. So let's go ahead and partake in this.
You sure you want to give me a 10.7 when I've already had a 9?
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's not that bad. It's good.
It is good.
A little sweet, little coffee-ish. Not too high on the coffee, but definitely very sweet. I'm trying to figure out what that back taste is. You catching something in the back of the palate that I just can't figure out yet.
Taste the coffee part.
It has very little aftertaste. It's good.
Yeah. It's thick. It feels
Robitussin.
A little syrupy.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
a
little
little syrupy.
syrupy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Syrupy,
Tastes
yes.
like Robitussin to me.
It's,
Delicious. I like
for
my
me,
dark
it's not
beers.
my kind of beer, so
Mm.
as I
It's
go
good.
to the solo cup.
It's good on a winter day. I
Yeah,
like it.
and that's the thing too. Like
Yeah,
for
that would be
me,
a good winter day.
Yeah, it keeps you warm.
Yes.
this really doesn't, for me, taste like a 10.6. I mean, there's no
We'll drink the whole bottle and they'll
no
think it's a 10.
aftertaste in it at
Very little
all.
aftertaste,
Very,
yeah.
very
It's good.
clean.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like it. Very clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
As far as when you perform live, I mean, how many times do you perform live, and is it consistently as far as, consistently busy? Like, okay, I got this gig to go to now, and I've got this gig tomorrow, and things like that. As far as, do you sometimes feel overwhelmed?
Funny you ask. No. I would say so. Ironically, in the last year, so during the pandemic, that's when I actually got more shows, because I think people were just like, and it's also something that I 100% committed to. So I wasn't saying no to any opportunity. I was saying yes to everything. So things were opening up, and people were open to me performing live. And yeah, I think yeah, it got pretty busy. Then there was a little bit of a lull,
Sure.
in the last winter, it kind of, people just stepped back from it, but now things are picking up again. So
Yes.
I'm just like, my
That was
goodness.
the peak. The peak of the pandemic was like in the winter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, but I'm grateful to all of it, and I'm a yes woman again. So.
In this time,
Yeah.
where's there a lot of experiences where you thought, oh, that's a song, I can do that, I'm gonna write about this.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I came up with two songs today. I was like, okay, and Richard's like, come on, share them. We gotta
Keep
do
them
them.
coming, keep them
Yeah.
coming, yeah.
Got a lot of projects ahead of us. So.
So, your life experiences, as far as what you do, and it kind of plays off of this, is do you feel that influences your music or your music style? Like sometimes you're in a just kind of a, how do I say, a groovy feel, and other times you're like, I want to write about my love, or I want to write about different things, just your life influences. How do you feel about that as far as?
100%. No, I think, in the last year, I've written more Spanish songs than I think I've ever have in my whole life. And Spanish songs, I think, just bring me back to home, right? So there's a longing to be at home as well, because I didn't grow up in California. So moving out here really opened it up. I'm like, oh man, like now I'm longing for my Cuban community, right? A little bit. So now I'm writing more things in Spanish, and then Richard's like, yeah, let's do it. Like Latin music, it's in. So
Yes.
it's great. It's a good timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as, say, where you started, where you grew up, and obviously where you live now, do you think that the influence in your music has changed, as far as style? I know in different states, you have in different styles of Latin. There's so many different styles of Latin.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you have your reggaeton, you have your banda, you have, you know, a lot of different styles. So, where are you at in that? What do you feel like? You know.
Oh my goodness. I've always loved reggae. That's another thing. I love to dance reggae, right? That's my thing. Salsa. I grew up with a lot of Hispanic, you know, different Latin musicians, Celia Cruz, all the Cuban people. But then coming out here, it's more Mexican influence, right? So now I'm like, it's just like I'm merging these different styles. I'm more open to different genres, and I'm listening to them all the time. There's different influences all over, right? What would you say?
And a lot of the Latin music here, especially in California, there's traditions of how a certain genre is played, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it difficult too, because there is the new generation of the new younger musicians that try to morph the music into their style.
Sure.
But the tradition always fights back on it, and so that's always been a challenge. There's a lot of songs like norteño music that the way people write it now and play it now is the same way it's always been played for many years. And it's just like the cultural has always been that way. But there is a lot of young cats coming out that are trying to change the music a little bit and morph it a little bit. There's resistance to it, but it's something that's going to grow for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The music has to evolve all the time.
Yeah. It consistently evolves, you know, and that's the beauty of music. Gosh, and whether it's an artist who, like for example yourself, both of you, who started on one instrument and, you know, moved to another instrument, and that plays a big part of change in different music and different styles. Yeah. So
and I'm hoping that Saint notices. I hope he did that. The way the song was written, it was. I have a tendency of like doing the style that I guess that I'm used to, right? So I did have my influences in this song, and is it a little bit different? Maybe it is a little bit different, but that's what I'm referring to. The music always evolves, right? And some people like it, and some people love it. You know, so it just depends, right? Like there always has to be some level of change, right, in the music. And some of the elements that we added was not traditional to that type of music, but it pops out.
Yes.
Even I would even say, like, for example, Vivir Así, the bridge, it's more Caribbean than the rest of the song, right? So it's like these little touches, and even me vocally, I did some things that I was like, where did that come from? Like that was deep in there somewhere.
Yeah. I think on the chorus of that song is a different key.
Right.
So we just changed the key on that. So for example,
it's a fun,
nice little mix for sure.
You change it up a little bit.
Change it up.
So why don't we take another little break, and in this little break we're gonna actually play another video called Callejera, and that is next, and we'll do that now, and here we go.
A mentir, cocino, te cuido, te hago feliz. Si la calle me llama, me tengo que ir. No debes salir, enfócate niña, no vas a discutir. Aventura me llama y quiero vivir. Quédate quieta, ya no corres más. Si tu maleta, debes de soltar. Quédate quieta, dime dónde vas. Si tu chaqueta, debes de guardar. Amigos son padres y me preguntan cuándo tendré quiero saber libertad. Nací pa' la calle, no voy conformar.
All right. Well, that was Callejera. Oh, another fantastic song, and it's a pleasure. It's fantastic having you in here. We really appreciate you coming in here and letting us experience your music. You know. So anyway, what are you guys eating there? I can tell you what you're eating there, but we're all eating beef jerky here.
Beef jerky.
So good. Even as vegetarians are eating.
So this is Bubba's Jerky. Bubba's Jerky is a sponsor for today's show. You can get this at bubbajerky.com. It's not Bubba's Jerky, it's bubbajerky.com. They're out of Claremont, California. They do have a beer pairing sections, believe it or not, because this is craft jerky for craft beer.
Really?
So it's kind of, just a little different, and it makes sense. So anyway, we'd like to thank Jeff Walden and Jason from Bubba Jerky. And, gosh, you got to definitely check them out at bubbajerky.com. It's outstanding.
Yes, outstanding.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to ask you a little bit about the history of where you've been already. We noticed that your YouTube channel... Somebody's chowing down
I
over here.
can't even bite the beef jerky.
We noticed that your YouTube channel went back roughly 9-ish years, and there's little gaps here and there. So tell us, what was going on in those times?
Yeah, that was actually around the time that I was working at corporate jobs. So Discovery Channel, I was working at HBO for some time, Latin America, all awesome companies, but I just didn't have time, right? So it was like music was always in the back of my head. I was always writing, but I was focused on just making money and maybe one day I'll be CEO. And then I realized that's not the life I want.
Sure.
So I had a lot of dips. That's a really good point. And then moving. So from Miami to Philadelphia, I moved because of my partner's job, and then moved again to California. So I was moving around quite a lot, from college as well. So 9 years ago was around the time close to when I was about to graduate. I hope that doesn't give away my age. But it was a roller coaster. But I'm glad I'm there 100% now. So.
Yes, and we all have roller coasters. I mean, that's gosh.
Aren't roller coasters fun?
They sure are. They sure are.
That's experience. It's definitely life experience. It only makes you stronger for sure. And that's when you really determine what your actual goals are. Where you can commit. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and it really watching your music progress and watching your videos. Definitely, that progression. You can see that you're 100% committed, and this is definitely the direction of where you wanted to go and what you want to do.
Totally.
So, I have what seems like a very simple question.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
So,
I drink some more beer. I don't know.
I'll just be eating my beef jerky over here.
you know what? Let's do the beer. Let's actually do this beer right now. And then I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
A very simple question.
He's trying
But
to
I think
loosen you up.
I think
All right,
you might be
thanks.
good to do this.
I'm good. You're doing
So-
well. You're doing well.
So this beer here that we're gonna do is from Westbrook Brewing. They're out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. This is a maple bourbon barrel aged. It's pecans, winter spices, vanilla, and maple.
Oh my goodness.
Thanksgiving.
Delicious.
Okay, so this is a 10 ABV and a 15 IBU. So I'm anticipating this will be very smooth and dangerous.
Yeah.
So this has got 593 check-ins and rates a 4.31 on Untapped out of 5. So this is also very highly rated. Tasting notes: sweet maple, bourbon, cookies, and nutty.
It's like everything I love. It's very
So a note on the bottle that I saw was this was barrel aged for 12 months.
Okay.
So
Oh,
let's go ahead and do that now. You
I'm
ready?
excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Jerky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is
Taste the cookies.
great.
It tastes like cookies, but
That is
It's
great.
like breakfast and dessert all at once.
oh my goodness.
Maple.
Yeah, it's like a sweet beer. It's good.
A little bit of, you catch a little bit of the barrel aged.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, but not too strong at all.
Yeah.
You know, I like it. That's very good. As I pour some more. Mm-hmm.
It smells good.
This feels like it tastes good, like super cold, like super like ice.
Like in a like in a blizzard? No.
A
What do you mean?
little icicle or something.
Well, you need to go somewhere else for a blizzard. I'm Southern California.
So it seems like a very simple question. And we all have it. How did you come up with Saint? You have the Saint. So how did that come about?
Yeah. I'm actually, so it was a very controversial thing for me. I did grow up Catholic, but now, you know, it's a separate conversation. But Saint actually comes from my last name, which is Santos. So it's more of a tribute to my family. So I'm the oldest of 8 girls on my dad's side.
A baseball team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of them play softball, so they did well.
One short for a baseball team.
Yeah. My sister's a pitcher. No, but you know, so Saint actually exactly. I was like, I need to tribute something as a woman in society. We normally inherit, you know, or keep the husband's name. For me, I needed to give an ode or tribute to my family. You know, not lose where my history is, right? So Santos meant that for me. And Saint means it's Santos. Santos is saints. Saints,
Yes.
right? So I decided Saint is something that is memorable because Crystal Alexis, which is my first and my middle name, just wasn't really cutting it. And the fact that, you know, people would actually forget, like I would get announced and be like, Christina Alex. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? I gotta change this. So Saint came about. And it also helps with my persona on stage as well. So it's almost like I'm leaving the old me behind, and when I perform, I embody this person that's like just Saint. You know, it has more meaning for me. So that's what that means.
Wow. Yeah, that's
question.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Good
That's
question.
great. I have another question, and it's both individually. I want you have projects in the works. I know I'm going to ask Richard first. You have projects in the works. I know with Full Wave Studios, you're going through a transition right now as far as the construction and stuff like that. And then I'm going to ask you what your latest projects are. So, Richard, you go ahead and start out first.
So for us at Full Wave, we started off obviously helping other bands play, and then when the pandemic hit, everything moved to my house. Everything was at the house, right? And then so I came to realize that you can do everything from here. So the studio started getting built more at the house. And then as refinance interest rates came down, we decided to refinance our house. And I always wanted to build a house in the backyard. And so we decided to build a house for rent, right? So my wife's here. and I wanted to rent it. But she was the one that said, well, why don't you make it into a studio? And I was like, so.
Oh,
I wasn't
that didn't
argue
take
about
much.
that.
Yeah, no, I
You
wouldn't argue with
smart
that
woman
either.
over there. You smart woman.
Ultimately, because
Yeah.
the idea of bringing people from the outside, I
Yes.
understood where she was coming from. So the transition we have right now is that we're pulling back a little bit on live recordings, and we have a YouTube channel that if you go to Full Wave Studios on YouTube, we were recording during the pandemic live performances of bands. All the venues were closed, so we tried to bring bands to the live. Because I record a lot of live musicians, so the music was live, and we recorded and released it on YouTube. That got pulled back a little bit because of the construction, but right now we're right in the beginning phases of the studio's trenched. The floor is trenched. No concrete's been done yet, but we're in the period right now from transitioning from recording in a small little area into a dedicated studio. And so we're hoping by the next 2 months or so, maybe 3 months, that the entire studio is completed and be a dedicated, full-blown studio at Full Wave Studios Vista.
Great.
Can I go
Great.
swimming in your pool when you get it? Because weren't you building a pool too?
Yeah, we're gonna do like
Can I come
a
release
party.
parties.
We're gonna release parties
All the
there.
release parties at Richard's house.
Can we come?
I told my wife we'll have rap videos, but she doesn't like
Yeah,
rap,
oh
rap
gosh.
videos.
Reggaeton videos.
Yeah, reggaeton videos at our house in the pool.
With a boat. You need a boat though.
You gotta have a boat.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how about your projects?
Yeah.
Let's go with your projects now and your collaborations. I'm sure you've got plenty of collaborations going on or different projects going on. So yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I actually started, before I met Richard, I was producing. I was also learning how to produce my own things because just like him, it was like, it's hard to rely on people and like just your vision. You know, when you have a vision for a song, you want to execute it the way that you have this vision, right? So I'm also learning how to produce, arrange. He's helping with that vision. And then I have concerts. Or not concerts, well, that's my aspiring goal, to eventually have a large concert. Right now I'm doing different shows. I do perform at private shows, weddings with a band, and then I also am working on an EP. So that's my latest,
Right.
yeah, my latest project, just having a lot of the songs that I've been working on out. Go out.
Shows.
Yeah.
What shows do you have coming up that you can tell us about, or if you have any shows that you can tell us about that we can definitely let the audience know about?
Sure.
Definitely let us know now.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, so I have a show coming up August 14th. It's a Saturday. It will be a shorter event, so it's about an hour, and it's at Main Place Mall. So we're doing an art show and an art walk. It's the first art walk after the pandemic that's in person. So it's kind of a big deal. And then we have I'm basically performing, and then there's a band after me. So it's pretty cool. I'll be doing originals and covers. And then I have another show coming up at Highland Park Bowl. So that is August 24th. It's on a Tuesday evening, and that's around 10 p.m. So I'll be performing there with 2 other musicians. So that'll
Great.
be cool. Yeah.
Great.
Hope you'll make it.
There's her August shows,
Mm-hmm.
but you can definitely follow her and definitely check out her pages to find out where else she's going to be playing after that, because that would be definitely something you need to follow to figure out where she's going to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've also had a little bit of success with some comments on the Vivir Así song.
Mm.
yes.
That were even like the
Yeah.
song was produced and recorded remotely, right, mainly. But there might be some situations where they're asking us to play it,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's no band for it. So
Right.
we are talking about actually getting together and playing guitar and bass and
Wow.
and
Basically putting a band
Putting a band
together
together to play-
for original
to play that song.
Why not?
songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
So, yeah.
that would be
There's been
great.
some traction on the song. So, but the song was written without a band. It was written
Right.
remotely, right? So that's we're trying to
Yeah.
figure out.
Make
Like,
it
how
come
can
to
we play
life.
together now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's great.
Both of you. First, we'll start with saying, where are we going to find your stuff?
Yeah. So you can find my stuff on YouTube. If you look up Saint Music Official, and then I have Instagram, Saint Music Official. Same thing. It's pretty repetitive, so you can't forget.
Okay.
Facebook. I have my own website as well, So that has all the videos, all the songs. I'm releasing a new song as well at the end of August. So yeah, just www.saintmusicofficial.com. That's the best place to get the information.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Richard, where were we gonna find
And
you?
for me, it's Full Wave Studios. Pretty much YouTube. If you search Full Wave Studios on YouTube, you can see my videos there. I have a thing called the Sygate Sessions, which is that live performances of
Yes.
bands,
Yep.
which I was trying to get.
Mhm,
Saint
we're
to
gonna
play
do it. We'll do it.
We're doing something soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, the construction.
I love the Sygate
The
section.
construction
Yeah.
is what's kind of causing that
Yeah.
to kind of stop a little
We'll
bit.
delay.
Because I'm kind of hoping that the new studio will be the live performance section. But Full Wave Studios, if you go to Instagram, Facebook, same repetitive, same thing.
Yeah.
Full Wave Studios, at Full Wave Studios, just look for me there. And I post a lot about some of the stuff that we're doing. The YouTube channel has a combination of the Sygate sessions, but we're actually going to do. I actually already started recording and have some content already for the mix breakdown of the song UVSC.
Mhm.
So I'm going to talk about it. I had to break it up into 2-3 videos, but I'm going to talk about like how we wrote it, go track by track, and just talk about a little bit how the mix was broken down. So that's coming up in the Full Wave Studios YouTube channel. So
Great. So yeah, just again, Full Wave Studios. Check them out on. That's YouTube, correct?
YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
All the things.
Yes.
All the platforms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So-
Spotify and iTunes.
Oh, Spotify too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Saint Music Official.
So I think we need to take care of business now. Is that correct?
All right. Yes, it's been a fun night. Thank you two for coming.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah, it's been a blast. It's always fun having beer and music, and throwing in some beef jerky in there. So
Yeah.
Yes, Bubba's Jerky, BubbaJerky.com. Yes, thanks for sponsoring us tonight, and definitely
you.
very good.
Yes, but right now we just got some business to cover, and then we can get to real drinking out there over there on the other side.
The party
But,
starts after this.
we want you to be on our podcast. So if you're a musician or artist, we would love to have you on our show just to showcase your talent to our followers and your followers. And also if you're a brewery, we would love to just showcase your beers on an episode. We can do that live on location, or we can do it here in the studio. It would just be your beers. And if you're just an average Joe or an above average Joe, we would love to have you sit next to us, taste what we're tasting, and give your inputs on those beers. We would love to have you on our show. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. We do have weekly podcasts coming out. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We do have 5 weekly beer reviews that we do with, creative pictures we think are creative, and, beer reviews, but, that's all subjective to the viewer. But, and just make sure you guys are following Richard at Full Wave Studio and Saint at Saint Music Official. Give them some love. Give us some love. We're all here to support each other. Follow, subscribe, do what you can to show your support. And, we hope you enjoyed the music and the beer tonight. So that's all I got.
We will put links to all of those websites and places you can find them on our page.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
So-
thank you guys for
Thank-
being
So great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Saint. Thank you,
you.
Richard Carrasco from Full Wave Studios for coming in. We
Yeah.
really appreciate you guys coming in. So, as we end our class,
I don't think Richard's got anything.
you got a drink there, Richard?
Well, I already
Oh,
drank
some
mine.
more?
Here we go. Now, Richard needs some glass here. What would you like? Would you want the Imperial, or
Choice.
you want the lemonade?
Do you
I want the lemonade.
He wants the
Oh.
lemonade.
He's feeling the
That was
summer
good.
summer vibes.
I won't
Well,
call
mix it
you
with
something,
this.
Richard.
So good.
It was good.
Wow.
So, as we end this class, we want you to raise your glass and cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you
Cheers.
guys for coming in. We
Yes.
appreciate you.
Cheers.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers. Oh, it's bad luck if you don't. Ching.